Welcome. Today you're in my hotel room and we are talking about AI in supply chain. We're going to cover how to get your supply chain AI ready in less than 10 minutes. First, let's discuss the difference between AI and beneficial AI, okay? You can implement AI for lots of things and it's not actually helpful, okay? Beneficial or helpful, I'm gonna call it helpful AI, okay? So to me, helpful AI comes down to three components, okay? The first is actual technology. There's lots of different types of AI, machine learning, large language models, statistical measures, vision learning. AI is very broad. And all it means is that a machine is being trained to do a certain task semi-autonomously, rather than the traditional programming approach, which is a human tells the machine what to do. So there's already a ton of AI out there. The second component is the layers of the technology. There's basically three layers to any AI product. One is the interface, one is the application, and one is the model. Now the models are your OpenAIs, your Google Gemini, your Meta Llama, right? Those are your models that are used that are built around all this data. This is your trained data, okay? Your application is around a specific use case. It is configuring the model to your specific thing. And the interface is the way in which a user gets the data. So the interface could be a dashboard, it could be a chatbot, it could be something integrated within your ERP system. There's lots of different potential interfaces for this. And then the last component that I think is the most important is your use case. It is very possible that your AI technology is phenomenal and it's actual AI, it's real AI, it's not just if-then statements, right? But it might be overkill, okay? If you can solve your problem through Excel or a database, you do not need AI, right? If it can be solved through if-then statements, you do not need AI. You just need some custom scripts, which, hey, that's okay too, right? If it's a one-time project, building AI is way too complicated for one task. Next, we're going to talk about the actual supply chain use cases that you might be running into. Now, today I'm going to talk about three that I think are really helpful and great. First is predictive maintenance. So if a human tells you that a conveyor belt needs to be replaced every 6 months, that is not AI. That's just a schedule, right? But an AI example is if you put cameras and sensors on all your conveyor belts and the AI determines when to replace the belts based off of lots of data of failures, okay? The second is demand forecasting. One of the things I love most about AI, and this is particularly in the statistical machine learning category of AI, is that it can create numeric values from scratch using a bunch of seemingly random data points. So you feed it a bunch of data that you think might be relevant, and from a demand perspective, this could include seasonality, weather patterns, economic conditions. It could be Twitter posts, politics, internal data like marketing ad budgets and ad channels, all those types of things. So you can use all those, feed it into a model, and come up with a forecast. The last use case that I particularly like is a vision application for quality purposes. Use cameras throughout your manufacturing process to detect defects, okay? Use humans and standard tests to make sure everything is auditable, but use AI to find problems earlier in the process. Hey, we keep getting this error, let's put a camera early in the process and see if we can correlate those two together. How do you know if you're ready for AI? Well, let's get a couple of things out of the way first. One, you probably are ready for something pretty simple today, right? You could implement a pilot project in the next 6 months and you'd see some good success. The second thing is you probably aren't ready for anything complicated. If you were, you probably wouldn't be watching this video, right? So to me, there's three things that you should focus on when you're trying to get your supply chain ready for AI. The first is data. You should probably have about 1 million rows of data as a starting point. Relatively clean, doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, as a side note, data is never perfect. There is no such thing as perfect data. It does not exist. It is a lie that people tell you to not do things with your data, okay? The second is your infrastructure. You gotta have servers, you gotta have a cloud environment, you gotta have databases, right? Besides that, that's really, there's a lot of things you can do for infrastructure to improve your systems and your tools, but you gotta at least have the basics. And then the last thing is you gotta make sure your team's ready, okay? This is gonna impact their jobs. You gotta make sure they're ready to adopt it, to be ready for it, to be excited for it. How do you create a roadmap for your AI projects? The first thing you need to do is create a project team, okay? Make sure that everyone on the team comes with seemingly competing priorities. You gotta have a finance-focused leader who only cares about the P&L, the balance sheet, right? One person who's a people leader who ensures that the humans in your organization are benefiting from this approach, right? And they're not just replacing jobs for the sake of replacing jobs. And another person who wants to ensure that data security is on point. You get the idea. Lots of people with broad backgrounds who care about different things. The second thing is, from a roadmap perspective, is get a pilot project done. Start small, execute it to perfection, get an ROI. An ROI is achievable in 6 months or less, and sometimes 3 months, from idea to implementation, okay? So focus on something that actually has merit, actually has beneficial, real results that can be tied to it, right? And once you've seen the results of one pilot project, you can start brainstorming, looking for the next wave of initiatives, and you'll probably get more budget. How do you even know if you are successful with AI? There's a few things that I look at to see if AI was helpful or not. The first is an accuracy of predictions. If you're using AI for forecasting or to make any prediction of any kind, right? You compare it to the actuals, okay? So if you're using AI for a demand forecast, I highly recommend you use your existing forecasts, your AI generated forecasts, AI version 2 forecast, human generated forecast, number 4. Use all these things and just compare the accuracy side by side. And do you care about the total revenue? Do you care about inventory turns, which is super important? Do you care about the scrap that you're going to produce? Do you care about inventory being bloated, right? So it depends on what your business wants to focus on, but different forecasts are going to be able to produce different results and focus on different results based off of what you want to optimize it for. So focus on, what am I optimizing for, right? The second measurement of success is ROI, right? What is the return? Are you seeing cold hard cash, better cash flow, more revenue, savings, right? Better pricing, increased prices on the sales side, right? Are you able to see any of these things or not, And the third one is what I call a soft ROI, and that is team efficiency and adoption rate. So make sure that the AI solutions are being integrated and used by the team. Are they actually helping the team? Is the team saving time, and are they actually getting benefit from this? Okay. You got to make sure you have some data available. You have to make sure that you have a detailed use case that you want to implement. You have to have some infrastructure ready. You have to have a team of people that are committed to the success. And you have to make sure that you know what you're measuring for. What are you trying to accomplish, right? So my challenge for you is over the next 30 days to come up with an idea, a pilot project, and take the first step towards implementing it, right? I would love to chat with you about any use cases you have. Feel free to message me on LinkedIn, email me. It's in the comments, it's in the description. It's gonna happen, and if you don't take the concrete steps now, you're gonna get left behind. And I want to see your company super successful. Thanks, everybody. Bye.